If you've ever wanted to know how to use an airless sprayer, well, today I'm going to show you step by step, coming up next. Hi everybody, I'm Leah of seejanedrill, and if this is your first time here, can I just say welcome to you? We're a home improvement channel where beginners are welcome as well. Now, like I told you at the beginning of the video, I was going to show you how to use an airless spray gun. Now, what makes it different than one that requires air? Well, the difference is the air in the paint. With a gun that requires a compressor, it relies on the air to atomize the paint. Now, with an airless spray gun, it's different. It's different because, well, there's no air, there's no compressor. So if it doesn't have air, then what delivers the paint to the surface? Well, it's pressure. Tremendous pressure that's forced through a very small opening. So this is I want to show you a close-up of the gun because I want to show you a few features you're going to need to know before you begin to spray, okay? Now, this is the Wagner Pro 170 that I purchased, all right? And all guns are basically the same. Most of the spray systems that you find, if you rent one from a big box store, you go out and buy one yourself, they basically have the same features. So all guns should come with a safety. And what that does is it prevents you from pulling the trigger. That's what this is. That's your trigger here, okay? Next, there's a hook. And it allows you to hook your spray gun up between uses, all right? So you're not laying it down on the ground. Now, the next feature is very important. It's this here. What is it? That's the guard. And the reason for the guard is it's a barrier. It's a reminder for you not to put your hand in front of the tip. Because what will happen is when you pull that trigger, if your hand is anywhere near the tip, that paint is coming out at a tremendous force. It's going to inject paint into your skin and into your blood supply. The guard is there to keep you from injuring yourself. The next thing is, this thing right here looks like a key, doesn't it? What this is here, this green thing that looks like a key, is actually the tip. And I'm going to pull it out of the guard for you so you can see it up close. You just pull it right out. Now, the reason why you can pull the tip from the gun is because different paints require different tips. Now, we're going to be painting with a latex exterior paint today, and the tip that I have here is a 515, which is a tip that's meant for exterior latex paint. So keep that in mind. Your guide, with your paint sprayer, if you decide you're going to get into spraying paint, it will tell you what tips are best with what paint. So let me turn the tip around so you can see actually where the paint is being forced out of. See this small opening right here where my thumb is? That's the opening that the paint is coming out of, but at tremendous pressure. Now, what we have here is the suction tube and the return tube of the sprayer. We're going to take the suction tube and we're going to submerge that in our paint, and we're going to make certain that we don't submerge the return tube. So I'm going to take that and we're going to place that in our paint like so. You want to get something that's going to serve as a waste container. I'm using this here, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to slide this over to my paint can. And this return tube, this right here, I'm going to place into my waste container like so. Now we're ready to prime the system. Now this is our spray and prime knob. Right now it's in the spray configuration. What we're going to have to do is we're going to have to turn it to prime. So I'm going to turn this to the prime position. Now we're ready to plug in the machine. Now on the front of the machine is a pressure knob. That's what this is here, and we're going to need to turn our pressure on, and that's going to get the paint flowing through the tube. Now I'm going to set mine slowly. I'm going to turn it slowly to here. Once you get the paint flowing, you know the system is primed. You have to shut it off, okay? And that's what we've done. Now what you do is you take your return tube and we're going to submerge it into our paint with our suction tube. Now we have to get our spray gun ready. What we're going to do is we're going to remove the safety, all right? So my safety is off. I'm going to lower my gun to my waste container, this here, just like so. Now I'm going to turn my pressure knob on. Now once you've got the paint flowing through the gun, you'll want to put your lock on. Lock that trigger, okay? Once you've got your trigger locked, like I've got my safety on here, it's time to install the tip. So I've got my system primed, I've got my sprayer turned on spray, I've got my lock in position, I've got my tip installed with my guard, and I've got my tip pointing in the correct direction, okay? I've got the proper tip installed for the paint that I'm using. So I'm going to turn my pressure knob up to 5. That's what's required for the paint that I'm spraying. Now I'm ready to spray. Now what I would encourage you to do first is just take a scrap piece of cardboard and try some test sprays before you commit to the actual project that you're going to spray. Before you get started, make certain that you mask off those areas that you don't want to spray paint, like I have here. I'm using waterproof tape. You may want to consider the same. Over here, I've masked off glass windows that I don't want paint on, and I would encourage you again to mask off those things that you don't want covered with paint. Now what you want to do is take off your safety like I have, okay? You want to hold your gun 10 to 12 inches from the surface that you're going to paint. You certainly don't want to whip your wrist. You want to move your arm consistently across. Don't use your wrist to arc the paint. If you're flipping your wrist like that, you're going to get inconsistent coverage on the surface that you're spraying. So just make certain that you lock that wrist, move parallel to the surface, okay? Like so. The last thing to remember is to overlap by 50%. Don't just paint and then drop down and paint again. Make certain that you spray and then overlap what you've already painted by 50%, and you'll be fine. And we're going to paint. Now, one of the reasons you may want to consider a paint sprayer is it makes quick work of painting. It's like 3 to 4 times faster than if you were to use a roller and a brush. This is Leah saying you can do this. See you next time.